I'm not very athletic. I'm short. I'm pretty sure my 3-year-old could beat me in a leg race. I trip a lot over things that don't move. And the closest I've ever come to an athletic achievement would have to be when I won the hula hoop contest in 3rd grade. And don't think that I threw away that certificate of honor, because I did not. Look, no one's going to confuse me for an Olympian, and I've been fine with that my entire life until last year. Because last year, I turned 30. For many of you, that might as well be 60. Anything over 25 is ancient. Some of you are wondering if I've already started planning my funeral. And let me just say, I'm with you. I can remember when my own mother turned 30. So when I reached the same age, I had a panic attack. A panic attack that involved me joining a gym, which is the worst kind of a panic attack. I remember my first day of exercise at the gym. I got on the treadmill, and an hour later, when I learned how to work that treadmill, I spent about 20 minutes trying to run a mile. I literally ran 1 mile, went home and weighed myself, super excited to see how much weight I'd already lost. And do you know what I saw? I was 2 pounds heavier. How was that even possible? But it taught me something. Immediate results aren't results. Immediate changes aren't changes. True results and true changes take both time and commitment.
Maybe you feel like you tried God and it didn't work. Maybe you came to church and didn't feel anything, or you listened to a talk like this one and didn't notice anything change in your life. Or maybe you prayed a prayer and nothing happened. Maybe you sang some songs and didn't feel any of the warm fuzzies you thought you were supposed to feel. Maybe you tried this Jesus thing, but you haven't seen any major or immediate changes in your life. So you assume it's simply not working.
Well, you're not alone. You can ask any of the adults here, and I bet they would agree they've all felt that way too. Maybe some of us, even those of us who want to know God and be close to Him and discover His plan for our lives, occasionally feel like following God is just not working.
But here's the thing. There's something that often stands between God and us. Something that prevents us from experiencing everything that He has for us. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because as it turns out, the Bible has a few things to say about what we should do when we feel like this God thing just isn't working for us.
Has anyone here ever heard about a guy named Paul from the Bible? Here's a cool thing about Paul. He had an encounter with Jesus after Jesus rose from the dead. Meeting Jesus changed Paul's life, so much that Paul spent the rest of his life traveling the world and telling other people about Jesus, often through letters. Paul wrote a lot of letters during his lifetime, including one to the Christians who lived in a place called Galatia. I think we should take a look at that letter, which we call Galatians, because in it, Paul had a lot to say about the issue we're talking about today.
You see, Paul wrote this letter to the Galatians because they were confused about what it meant to follow God and grow in their relationship with Him. In the letter, he instructed them to continue holding firmly to their trust in God. Listen to what he said at the end of his letter. A man reaps what he sows.
Does anyone here actually know what reaping and sowing mean? I mean, probably not, unless you're a farmer. So, let me show you. Have you ever planted a garden? Or maybe even a tree? Well, sowing simply means planting. So if you've ever planted something, well, congratulations, you've sown a seed. If you've never planted anything before, well, today is your lucky day, because we are gonna plant a seed together. And then for the next couple weeks, we're gonna watch the seed grow. So there we go. We've now officially sowed a seed. And if you've ever not just planted a seed, but then watch that seed grow and eventually turn into something like a flower or a tomato or a tree, well, then you've reaped something too. Because reaping is what you do when the seeds you've sown are full grown. Make sense?
So let's look at this verse again. A man reaps what he sows. A man gets what he plants. Paul's point is that if you sow corn seeds, what are you going to reap? Right, corn. If you sow watermelon seeds, what are you going to reap? Watermelons. Now, if I plant tomato seeds, is there a chance I'll get carrots? No way! That's not how it works. What you sow is what you will reap. What you plant is what you get.
Paul used this analogy because he knew the same is true in our lives. The seeds you spend time sowing will eventually turn into the plants you end up reaping. Do you want to be a better basketball player this year? Then you'd better practice your free throw today. Do you want to learn how to cook, get better grades, or be a better friend? Then you'd better do something about it now, because the things you choose to do today, whether good or bad, will become your habits. And habits are important because what you choose to do repeatedly and consistently this year is going to determine where you end up when it's over.
Now, maybe this isn't rocket science to you, like you probably know this already, but if you're anything like me, your problem isn't usually with knowing it, it's with doing it. This principle is so easy to see with sports or schoolwork or hobbies, but what I want you to get today is that it's the same way with God. You reap what you sow. You get what you plant. A relationship with God doesn't just magically happen when you download the Bible on your phone or show up at church a couple times a month. It requires action. It requires repetition. Just like basketball skills or your grades, knowing God better requires you to develop some habits over time.
What kind of habits? Well, if you're looking for a closer relationship with God, then here's a good place to start. Spend time with Him. Because time with God over time equals a relationship. A real, live, fun, deep, meaningful, and powerful relationship with the God who made you, who loves you, and who has a plan for you.
But time with God looks different for everyone. We'll all grow and learn and experience God in a different way. I can't tell you exactly what your time with God should look like, but I can tell you that spending time with Him is a habit that I strive for every day. Think about this. What's one way you could consistently invest in your relationship with God?
Maybe it's taking a picture of what you see in His creation. Or maybe it's reading one chapter or story in the Bible. Or maybe it's spending time listening to music that makes you think about God. Maybe it's talking to Him for 5 minutes a day. How you connect with God is up to you. The point is, if you consistently invest time in your relationship with Him, then you will reap a better relationship with Him. Because time with God over time, it equals a relationship.
Here's one more thing Paul had to say to the Galatians. He said, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Now, Paul knew that just like watching a seed grow, developing good habits takes time. It's easy to become discouraged if you don't see immediate results. So don't get tired in your journey to know God more. Like any good relationship, your relationship with God will grow over time if you don't give up.
That's what I want for you, to know God because you invested the time and didn't give up. If you're frustrated because you don't know God the way you want to, or you don't see immediate answers to your prayers, or you're not sure this whole Jesus thing is working, don't give up. Most of us expect immediate results in whatever we do. We expect to show up at church and immediately feel close to God, but it doesn't work that way. You reap what you sow, you get what you plant.
And I want you to get a relationship with God that you love and that you can't wait to tell others about. So if you want to know God better, just go spend time with Him this week. Because time with God over time equals a relationship with Him that you want to have.